All right, so I seen a thing on the news the other day, and it was a suggestion on how to improve your fuel economy. So I'm going to go over a couple things that I think from that list and add a few of my own that will help improve your gas mileage, seeing how the price of gas has increased so high in the last few days and almost doubled in the last year. No clue why. But let's go over a few things. All right, so one of the things that they go over is checking your tires. All right, well, my tires look pretty good, but what they're really supposed to check is your air pressure, because less rolling resistance means your car is going to have less resistance when it's moving, and a good thing for that would be to you know, you could overinflate your tires just a little bit, because that will make the surface of this a lot harder. And I would suggest not going over the recommended tire pressure on the tire, which is sometimes probably around 40. You can find that on here. Max load, max pressure. These ones will hold 50. So we're going to be putting 50 in them. I also want to add any kind of wind resistance. So I don't know if you have anything on the front of the car or any of those really big wings, you could remove this, and that would help with airflow, less wind resistance. You could remove your mirrors, your antenna, because that's gonna be wind resistance. Your windshield wipers, your windshield wiper blades, you could remove those. You know, you could even go as far as removing your, like I said, your side mirrors here. So that is just a little bit over and above right there. Okay, so the next thing on the list is they tell you to reduce speed. Basically, with the SRT4, which is what we're focusing on, the gearing isn't the best. You'll notice when you get up to about 65 or 70, you know, you're up around 25, 3,000 RPMs. So, you know, you might want to try to drive a little slower, and depending on where you're at, you know, you might want to go 50, 55. If you keep those RPMs a little lower, you could do some of your own testing, especially if you're driving highway a lot. You could drive 55 a couple days and see how that affects your fuel mileage. When you go to fuel back up again, you can divide your mileage by your gallons to see what kind of fuel economy you're getting there in comparison to how you're currently driving. It is also a good thing too, before you start any of this stuff, to go and, you know, if you know your current mileage, that's kind of like your baseline, and that's something that you can improve off of there. Okay, so being that this thing is a four-cylinder, and it does use premium fuel, one of the things that you can do is disconnect the wastegate, especially on a stock turbo. Then you won't build any boost, so you won't have to worry about high compression, and you should be able to run regular fuel. So that will help you save on gas, but you're going to save on horsepower too. So that's really simple and easy to do. You can just get in there and pull that pin. That flapper on there, when it starts spinning that turbo, it's just going to open it right up, and you won't have any boost pressure at all. All right, so the next big thing is weight. So weight does determine how much gas it does take for the engine to start to get the car moving. So we are kind of blessed, being that it is a four-cylinder, and it is a pretty light car, which is why, you know, they run so good, especially when we're doing pulls. But that uses gas, so we don't want to do that. So if you're done cleaning out your interior, all of your Red Bull cans, your full throttle, anything that you have in here, rags, you know, your ratchets, you know, we know how these cars go. We end up with all kinds of parts. So, you know, if you got all them out of here, and your Chick-fil-A and your all that garbage you have cleaned up, I actually got this going here pretty good. We're going to, you know, take this a little bit farther, and we're going to even remove our floor mats, because who wants to ride in the back seat anyway? It's got crank windows, right? So we got that taken care of. Everything is cleaned out up here. I have a place that I'm going to be putting this stuff, so we're going to get that out of the way. And I mean, I'd say I probably lost 50 pounds with all the garbage that I took out of this car. All right, so on to the next thing. Right now I'm going to be going over all the stuff that I have in my trunk, which is something most people do have with them when they do own one of these cars, because, well, we know a lot of these parts fail, so you always want to be prepared. All right, so pretty much, you know, you have your normal things that you need to have in your car. We know these motors like to use oil, so we got plenty of oil in here. I like to keep a couple cases, so we'll get the rest of that out of here. I always like to carry jack stands with me because I know I'm going to be jacking this thing up a lot and changing this one certain part. So I always make sure I carry a couple sets of them with me. See? You can never have enough axles. See, we're saving so much weight right now. And increasing our fuel mileage. I usually like to carry about 3 or 4 sets with me because I know they're a pretty common issue. Also, you know, you carry your tools. Gotta have a flashlight. They always break down in the dark. Impact. And, man, what else? You know, all your tools, your sockets, your ratchets. I mean, that toolbox that's in here right now is probably too heavy for me to lift out by myself, so I'm going to have to wait for some help. But I mean, just doing these couple things is really going to help me improve my gas mileage. I do also have, what is that here? I do also have, I always like to carry a couple of these with me because this is a very common part to fail on these also. So I like to carry a cam sensor with me. Just a couple of them. You know, we know that these things fail all the time, so you can never have enough of those. There we go. I don't know, like 10, 12, just so you know you have enough. I always like to carry, what do we got here? You know, the parts that when I take my car apart, I never put back on. When I'm working on it, I usually just like to throw those back in the car just in case I would ever need them. So we have those. You know, like the rubber strips that you take off, you never need those. You know, you never know. I did a taillight upgrade, so I just threw my old taillights in here. So this is just some of the stuff that you find in the back of an SRT4. So, you know, we have a full set of taillights in here. All right. What else? What else? Okay, here we go. We have our upgraded, we upgraded our cold air intake on this car, and this was our old one, so I just kind of threw it in my trunk in case I would ever need it again. That way I knew where it was. I also kept, here's all my clamps and my boots right here. So we have those. They can come out. I also did a fog light delete on this car. So I have my fog lights. I just, you know, in case I ever needed them, I threw them back in here. So I have those. I didn't like the way these looked, so I took them off the car too. Just kind of threw them in the trunk. Not quite sure where this goes, but I think it's from this car, so I put it in there. All right. Man, I just don't know how I fit all this stuff in this trunk. So, you know, like I said, we got more oil. We can get that out of here, rest of that stuff out of here. Like I said, you want to make sure you at least have a couple cases. Because the turbo cars, man, they use the oil. You know, you can't, zip ties, you can never have enough zip ties. So, I always keep some of them in the trunk. You know, small ones, bigger ones. You know, if you see them and you think you can zip tie your your hose, you use them, okay? I upgraded my cold side pipe, put a blow off valve, so I just kept this like I do everything else, and I just threw it in my trunk. I took my other one of these and I painted it to match the car with some Plasti Dip. So I just put the old one in here. I pulled these off of my bumper cover. I just didn't like the way the screens looked. It really covered up the intercooler. And then these, I don't even know what these things are for, but I just took those off too. You know, here's our toolbox full of tools so that we can work on everything. I always make sure that I carry my gaskets with me. So the intake gaskets are pretty common to go bad. So I think I have like 12 of those, and then I have some valve cover gaskets and some oil pan gaskets, because they're all common ones that leak. So in case I need to fix that stuff, I've got it with me. Like I said, I know to buy everything in bulk for these cars because I had one before, but this is just what I do now. And you know, here's, like I said, 3 or 4 sets of axles. You can never have enough axles. So let's get these out of the way. Man, I'm almost running out of room. I think my fuel economy's got to really improve after this. I'm glad I read this stuff on the news. So I'm also working on getting a big turbo kit together to put on this car. So I have my box with my what is this thing? Oh, the wastegate. That's the wastegate. And then I have part of my big turbo kit right here that I'm going to be putting on. It's ready to go. I've had that for about a year now. Like I said, I just keep it in my trunk. Any of my spare bolts that I don't know where they go, I just put them right in the box. You know, you never know if you're going to need them when you're working on something else, but I just know they never go back on this car. You know, here's a couple more bolts. A receipt from AutoZone. And I already don't carry a spare tire because I know I'm never going to get a flat, because I always keep my tires overinflated. But if I can get to you here, I'll show you what my trunk looks like now. Here we go. Look, I finally have an empty trunk. Like I said, no spare tire, so there's nothing in here. This is everything that I typically like to carry with me. There was some things out of here because I did fix my car the other day, and I think I just left them sit alongside the road, so they never made it back in. So, you know, hopefully these couple things will really help improve my gas mileage. There's a couple more things here yet that I'm going to add. There's also one more thing on the list, but let's check some more things out. I got to get the hood popped, and we'll check some of that stuff out. All right, so I mean, if you're underneath your hood, there's some things that you can check. Anything that looks like it's something that you don't need, you know, you can pretty much get rid of it. You don't have to run your air cleaner. That's a weight reduction. You don't need a battery hold down. That's a weight reduction. You could try running a thinner oil, so that's going to be less resistance on your engine. Let me see what else we got here. You know, anything that you don't need, like you could delete these HIDs, so I'm pretty sure you could save some weight there. You know, there's lots of things that you could save weight on. You know, and remove off of your car. But like I said, the oil would be a good one. You could remove the belt that drives your power steering and your air conditioning, because you just don't need those things, and that might help less resistance on the engine. And like I said, on this car here, we have a big turbo. So some of the big turbos, if you stay out of boost, will actually push the car and make it run better, or not run better, but be more fuel efficient. You know, if you're planning to stay out of boost because you're tight, you could try running regular fuel. Just do not go into boost. You could put your stock tune back in and go back to your stock injectors. That's a thought. Turn your, if you have an aftermarket fuel regulator, you could bump your pressure down a little bit so you're not squirting as much fuel. But like I said, stay out of boost. What else? There was something else. Yeah, here. Like I said, I have everything removed out of the trunk. So we're at a weight savings of over 600 pounds just by pulling out the things that we carry with us daily to make sure our car stays running. And like I said, you can remove all kinds of different things. You could take tape and try to run tape across here, and that'll make your car more less wind resistant. If you have a suspension, you could try dropping it down, getting lower to the ground so that you don't have airflow underneath. That will help you. The last thing on their list was this right here. I thought that's another good one here to help you save on gas prices. So, all right, guys. Hopefully this stuff helps you out, and you found it funny. Some of this stuff is funny, but some of it is actually pretty true. So let's do what we can. Hopefully we can get through this and enjoy our cars, because car season is getting ready to start. And I know a lot of people, including myself, have been working on some really nice builds, clean, you know, and everything. So here's to keeping the car hobby alive. Save gas, guys. Make it through the day.